Tonight on UCentral News. The UCO Business Building is expanding. UCentral's Shanice Hopkins went to the event and has all the details. In social media, the newest addition to the Avatar series is going to be the longest-running Avatar movie. Zach Sexton will have more. Over to the Diamond. UCO Broncos win a new record. Luke Underwood will have all the details. And it's sunny skies all week. Gwyneth Duncan will have your full weather forecast. All that and more on UCentral News.
Live from Central Oklahoma, this is UCentral News.
Good evening, I'm Shanice Hopkins.
And I'm Gwyneth Duncan. Welcome to this edition of UCentral News.
The College of Business is officially breaking ground on their newest additions to the building coming soon. Earlier today, the College of Business hosted their groundbreaking ceremony to celebrate the new atrium and student enrichment wing. University President Todd Lamb, Dean of Business Jeremy Aller, Donor Ron Armstrong, and other contributors joined faculty, staff, and students to open the ceremony. They say this place will serve as an area where business students can reserve study rooms, make connections, and boost engagement between staff. Dean Aller spoke on the importance of why this project is needed, stating,
"What we're building here today is going to only enhance their ability to be creative and engaging with our learners. And finally, our learners are going to have a place in the College of Business that they can call home."
Information regarding when this project will be finished or what it entails has yet to be released. UCentral will have more details soon.
Department of Education offices are being temporarily closed so layoffs can begin. Top officials at the department announced on Tuesday that nearly 50% of the workforce is being cut. About 4,100 people worked for the department before the layoffs. Employees got a memo early Tuesday telling them to vacate their offices and work from home on Wednesday. Officials said that due to the layoffs, those impacted by the cuts will go on administrative leave beginning March 21st. The layoffs will take effect in 90 days.
One of the world's biggest companies is planning to open more operations in Oklahoma. Google has acquired land in Stillwater with plans to open a new data center. Data centers are facilities that store and process the data that allows Google to operate. Oklahoma currently has one Google data center located in Pryor, which opened in 2011. In November, Stillwater residents voted in favor of data center projects by allowing OG&E to provide power to the centers. The city will also receive a $2.25 million franchise fee once the center is open. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I was outside for the groundbreaking on the business building, and honestly, the weather was fantastic and it was pretty sunny.
Yeah, but now some clouds have moved in. Let's take a look at that reflectivity because we do have some clouds across the state right now. We also have some potential storm energy in the south parts of the state. You're going to want to keep an eye on that because if you live in southeastern Oklahoma, you could see some severe thunderstorms later tonight. We're really not looking at tornado potential, but we are looking at high winds and risk of hail. As we look over here, this right here is going to move up into Oklahoma and become a very high dry system that's going to move across the state Friday. We already have a high wind warning for Friday because of that. As we look outside right now, though, we've had some clouds move into the state as the sun has started to set. That's because we do have a cold front that's trying to move across our state right now. So as you can see, pretty overcasty, pretty gross out there, but it feels nice. We're sitting at 77 degrees. Winds are pretty light coming from the south, but those are going to change to the north by tonight. I'll have more on that later. Our UV obviously right now is pretty low, but as we go into Friday, this is that dry line that's going to be moving eastern across the state. That's going to bring winds as high as 55 miles per hour. You're going to want to keep an eye on that, and then that dry wind is really just going to come in. It's just not going to feel too nice out there Friday, and we're definitely going to see some wind warnings. That's all I have right now. I'll give your full forecast later in the show. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you. The Pentagon is cutting all communication initiatives related to climate change programs and diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. That's according to a memo sent this week. All talking points will also have to be reviewed to make sure they follow executive orders from President Donald Trump. Some officials have said the department's climate programs focus on increasing the force's resiliency and that dropping them could be risky for the military.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is set to land in Canada today for the G7 foreign ministers meeting. New steel and aluminum tariffs started today. They apply to all countries, but Canada is America's largest top supplier of both metals. Experts say the tariffs also could be a blow for the U.S. businesses and consumers, as Amy Kiley reports.
Our cost of goods have gone up.
New 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports start today, potentially hiking some prices for American consumers. U.S. businesses have to pay the tariffs when they import the metals. The cost to them could be substantial based on Commerce Department statistics. They show the U.S. imported more than $58 billion worth of aluminum, steel, and iron last year.
A tariff, for example, on a lot of Canadian exports is a tariff on U.S. companies who make cars in the U.S.
Many economists predict companies will pass on part or all of the added costs to consumers. Auto prices could go up since cars contain hundreds or thousands of pounds of steel and aluminum. Home builders say the mere threat of tariffs has shaken their industry already.
Prices have gone through the roof and they've gone higher.
Prices also could rise for appliances, machinery, infrastructure, medical devices, power lines, beverage cans, and more.
Our cans have already gone up in price. Bottom line is going to eat into a good part of our profits.
Domestic steel and aluminum producers could benefit from the tariffs. U.S. companies might be willing to pay more for their metal in order to avoid the 25% pseudo tax. The Trump administration says helping those manufacturers is about more than just economics.
We can't have a country defendable without a solid steel and aluminum industry.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The Agriculture Department has cut 2 programs that provided money for schools and food banks to buy food from local farmers. The first program roughly provided $660 million to the Local Food for Schools Cooperative Agreement program. The rest of the money was designated for the Local Food Purchase Assistance Cooperative Agreement program. The ending of these programs will suspend more than $1 billion in federal funding. Some officials have also already voiced opposition to the announcement, including the Iowa Food System Coalition and the Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey. Now, bringing it back to Oklahoma, you mentioned dry temperatures, super high winds, but are these temperatures going to lead back into spring break?
I mean, truly we'll have to see. It's going to get a little bit warmer during spring break, but then it's going to go back down. I'll have that full spring break weather report later in the show. So don't go anywhere.
Rugged, rough, built for the road ahead. Sometimes I feel like a shell of a man.
Commercials are fake. What you're feeling isn't. Call or text 988, Oklahoma's mental health lifeline.
Did you hear?
Todd's in the hospital.
Who's Todd? He got a collapsed lung from vaping. He thought it was cool.
Not cool.
Promise you won't vape, Emma. It can lead to a lifelong addiction, and we can't be friends if your lungs collapse.
Bogus.
Wacky sitcom teens aren't the best people to talk to your kid about vaping.
Hey, you got a minute?
You are. Start the conversation with your child about vaping today.
The University of Central Oklahoma grows and thrives. We move forward, daily living the Bronco way, being reflective of our neighborhood, community, history, and Oklahoma. This is what has made us who we are. Oklahoma's Metropolitan University, the third largest university in Oklahoma. This is where movement is. This is the University of Central Oklahoma.
And looking at reflectivity right now, we have a lot of clouds over our state. There is a little bit of rain you can kind of see right there that's kind of been trying to build up, but it really has no energy with it. It's because of that cold front that's moving through our state. We'll definitely feel that as we go into tonight, but for now, we do have that potential for storm energy right there in the southeastern parts of the state. That could ramp up some storms later today, but for Edmond, we're not seeing much except for lots of clouds. It's looking like an overcast sky out there. It is feeling nice though. We do have a high of 77 right now. Winds are pretty light. As we look across the state, we're looking at upper 70s into 80s, 77 in OKC, 75 in Woodward, and 81 in Tulsa. Overall, a really nice day. It's not been too bad out there, not too windy. As we go into tonight, though, those winds are going to start to switch. We're looking at 52 degrees as our low tonight. It is going to clear up as we go throughout tonight, so all those clouds are going to kind of move out. We are going to have those winds switch from south to north as we hit midnight, so you'll definitely be able to feel that because that north wind is definitely way colder. As we look across the state, not too bad of a night. 46 in OKC, 34 in Guyman, 51 degrees in Miami. Overall, pretty nice night. As we go into tonight, though, we do have that potential to see some severe storms. We're looking at the southeastern parts of the state. Still a really low risk, but something to take note of because you're definitely expected to see at least a little bit of rain in those yellow portions. As we go into tomorrow for Edmond, it's going to feel pretty nice. We're going to start off chilly as we always do in Oklahoma, 46 degrees. We will have a dew point of 41, so you could see some fog out there as you're going to your car in the morning, but that should move out pretty quickly. We will have those north winds coming in pretty light at 2 miles per hour. The reason that is because those winds are going to switch again to the south as we go into 7 p.m. So those north winds aren't even going to be able to fully move in. That UV is going to be pretty nice at noon. We're going to be sitting at a UV of 7. So if you want to go outside and tan, tomorrow is definitely the day. As we go into 7 p.m., 80 degrees, warm out there, and those winds switch to the south. As we look at tomorrow across the state, upper 70s into 80s. It's more warm than it was today. 80 in Woodward, 77 in Guyman, Tulsa 79. Just a little bit warmer than it was today, but it's still going to feel pretty nice out there. As we look ahead tonight, wind switching to the north, you're going to be able to feel that. We have potential for storms in the southeastern parts of the state. We will have a strong dry line moving through Friday. That's something to keep an eye on, and we will have an elevated fire risk. Our temperatures will be rising next week, but then we'll get another cold front. As we look at our strong dry line here, that's going to bring in 55 mile per hour winds and potentials for wildfires and things like that. The fire risk is definitely going to be up on Friday. As we look at our 7-day forecast, right here Wednesday, that's where we're going to dip in temperatures, 58 degrees. So we're going to start off with a pretty nice spring break, but then all of a sudden we go down quite a bit and those winds rise. Definitely keep an eye on Friday though, because that is definitely a high wind day. And that's all I have for your weather today, but Shanice, just not a good break.
Honestly, no, but I don't mind the cloudy weather because it's the perfect weather for me to take a nap in, which is what I need for a break.
100%. I 100% agree.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gwyneth. Coming up, find out why Ghost Adventures star Aaron Godwin's wife has been arrested.
And what James Cameron has to say about the upcoming movie Avatar, Fire and Ash. Zach Sexton will have your social media update after the break.
It's time to explore, to come out and play. Our city is waiting, so what do you say? Whether daytime or nighttime, the right time is now. Finding those moments to make you go wow. Amazing new places to fit every mood. Shopping and dining. Did we mention the food? There are green parks and ballparks and water parks too. Museums, attractions, and also a zoo. The modern frontier is the friendliest place. Now is the time for your dreams to be chased.
Good afternoon, Broncos. My name is Zachary Sexton with your social media update. Ghost Adventure star Aaron Goodwin's wife, Victoria Goodwin, has been arrested in Nevada on suspicion of hiring a hitman to kill her husband. Back in October, she was allegedly sending messages to an inmate in a Florida prison about killing her husband to get more out of her marriage. She allegedly set to pay $11,515 for the hitman job, and there was a $2,500 down payment made. The police were alerted on the murder plan when a corrections officer confiscated the inmate's phone as contraband. The Ghost Adventure star Aaron said that he was blindsided by the news as he thought he was in a happy marriage. Police said that Victoria states that she had only been fantasizing about her husband being gone and does not remember sending the messages. James Cameron makes popular movies and long movies, and his next film, Avatar: Fire and Ash, due out in December, could be his longest yet. Cameron told the UK film outlet Empire it'll be longer than 2022's Avatar: The Way of Water, which he said was moving like a bullet train and didn't spend enough time on characters. The Way of Water ran 3 hours and 12 minutes, just shy of Cameron's longest 3 hours and 14 minutes for Titanic. James Cameron's wife, Susie Amos Cameron, has watched the whole thing from end to end this past December, and James Cameron noted that she was emotionally moved and bawled for hours. Stay on the lookout for the trailer. This movie is set to be emotional and action-packed. A new Guinness World Record has been set, and not for what you may think. Lateep Patidar, an 18-year-old man from India, has set the world record for the hairiest face on a male. He has 201.72 hairs per centimeter covering his face. The teenager has a condition most people call werewolf syndrome, formerly known as hypertrichosis, which causes advanced hair growth. When it comes to people suggesting if he should remove the hair, he stated, "There's not much to say to people about that. I tell them that I like how I am and I don't want to change my look." Netflix has started a relationship with famous comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, as 3 raw, unfiltered specials of Tony are coming to Netflix. His hit podcast show, Kill Tony, has become very popular, known for a tendency to not hold anything back. Every Monday, hundreds of comedians throw their name into a hat to risk it all and be put on a spot for a 1-minute stand-up performance in front of a sold-out crowd. Each performer faces a no-barred critique and interview. The specials are set to have other established comedians and surprise celebrity guests. The first of the specials is going to release on April 7th, 2025, and is going to be filmed at the Comedy Mothership in Austin, Texas. Gwyneth, Shanice, on the topic of comedians, who are your guys' favorite comedians?
I think I watched a lot of 90s and 2000s sitcoms growing up, so I'm going to have to go with Martin Lawrence, Bernie Mac type of vibe, but I'll also throw in Kenan Thompson. What about you?
I'm going to have to go with the classic Kevin Hart. What about you, Gwyneth?
I'm going to have to go Chris Rock. He's just an all-time classic. Thank you. Coming up, did the UCO baseball team win yesterday?
And what has happened so far in the NFL free agency? Luke Underwood will have more after the break.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
Expanding horizons, making room for the new. The modern frontier is ready for you. There's more to discover, more fun to be found. Our city is rising, just look around. Attractions, adventures, excitement and thrills. Rooms of beauty and history where knowledge is filled. A convergence of cultures in spectacular places. Open skies, open minds, and wide open spaces. The modern frontier awaits you to embrace it.
Hello, Bronco Nation. I am Luke Underwood, and let's get straight into your Wednesday sports stories. The UCO baseball team was in action yesterday. The Broncos battled the Arkansas Tech Wonder Boys in a back-and-forth effort. The final score was 14-12 in a Bronco victory. This now takes the Broncos to a 16-5 record with a 6-3 MIAA conference record. The Broncos will be back in action this weekend against Fort Hays State. March Madness is approaching and fast. The Oklahoma State Cowboys lost to the Cincinnati Bearcats yesterday, knocking them out of the tournament. The Tulsa Golden Hurricanes are battling the Temple Owls in the AAC tournament at 6 p.m. tomorrow. And the Oklahoma Sooners battle the Georgia Bulldogs tonight in the SEC tournament at 8:30 p.m. The Oklahoma City Thunder are playing tonight as well, and it will be a big game. The Thunder, who are currently 53-12 on the season with a conference record of 31-11, have the opportunity to clinch their playoff spot tonight with a win. The Thunder can also clinch a playoff spot with a Minnesota Timberwolves loss. The Thunder will be playing last year's champions, the Boston Celtics, tonight. The Celtics are also currently on a 5-game winning streak, with the Thunder coming off a loss from the Nuggets on Monday. Tip-off from the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Boston Celtics is set for 6:30 p.m. live at TD Garden in Boston. Now it is time for this week's NFL News Update. NFL free agency officially started Monday, and what a free agency it has been so far. There's been so many twists and turns that it feels like a Six Flags roller coaster. One of these big twists was the Los Angeles Chargers letting go of Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa seemed like he would end up playing with his brother Nick Bosa in San Francisco, but at the last minute signed a one-year $12.6 million contract with the Buffalo Bills. Wide receiver Devontae Adams signed a 2-year $26 million deal with the Los Angeles Rams. Defensive tackle Milton Williams signed with the New England Patriots for a 4-year $104 million contract. And quarterback Sam Darnold signed with the Seattle Seahawks for $100.5 million. There's been a lot of re-signings and extensions, with the biggest being MVP Josh Allen signing a 6-year $330 million deal to stay with the Buffalo Bills. As well, edge rusher Myles Garrett re-signed with the Cleveland Browns on a 4-year $160 million contract extension. Finally, there has been some earth-shaking trades, with wide receiver DK Metcalf being traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 2025 second-round pick. The Seattle Seahawks also traded quarterback Geno Smith to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 2025 third-round pick. Free agency has been jam-packed these past few days. Shanice, Gwyneth, what has your reaction been?
So I'm going to throw your question right back at you, and I'm going to ask you, is it just about trading NFL players, or because I have no idea?
I'm lost.
Oh, no, NFL free agency, players will leave teams, get released, they'll sign with other teams, maybe re-sign, but they can also be traded. And with the NFL draft a little over a month away, I expect even more roster changes to come.
Right. The main thing I was looking at was how much money football players make. I think one of those said $330 million.
Like, wow.
That's a lot of money. Thank you, Luke. Coming up, you can see a natural phenomenon when you look up to the night skies.
And I will have your last look at weather after the break.
The University of Central Oklahoma grows and thrives. We move to meet our students where they are and get them where they want to go. Over time, thousands of students have made the move to UCO. They come to pursue their passions and find their calling. to improve their lives, families, and communities. UCO moves and motivates students in and out of the classroom. Here, potential takes flight. Our students' curiosity ignites a spark that fuels transformation. Oklahoma's Metropolitan University, the university that hasn't stopped moving since 1890. In fact, we are gaining momentum.
This is where movement is. This is the University of Central Oklahoma.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? I'm high. Oh.
Welcome back. UCO's Theater Honor Society, Alpha Psi Omega, is putting on a production of Alabaster by Audrey Cephaly in the Mitchell Hall Education Center's Black Box Theater. UCentral's Michaela Kraus has more.
Alabaster is about unimaginable loss and hope.
June lives on a small farm in Alabaster, Alabama. That's why it's called Alabaster. And her family, or her farm, they were struck by a tornado, and now she lives there alone with her 2 goats.
June forms a relationship with Alice, a famous photographer with a tragic past of her own.
She herself has a lot of trauma, and I think that is part of what draws her to June in general, because they both have like checkered pasts, not necessarily checkered, but difficult pasts, we'll say.
Bailey Carpenter, the show's director, says she was drawn to the script due to its themes of overcoming trauma through female relationships.
Like that camaraderie and community and having people that can relate to your experience that you can talk to about it with is really, really helpful in the healing process. And it's helpful to push yourself out of sort of putting yourself in the box of isolation.
Ultimately, the cast of Alabaster hopes that the audience leaves with an understanding of how trauma can affect people differently.
I think one of the things I think is really important about the show, along with what my castmates have said, is there are always people who will be there to help you. You have to be willing to accept help.
Reporting for UCentral News, I'm Michaela Kraus.
Alabaster premieres tonight and will run through March 16th. The show starts at 7:30 p.m. and on all days except Sunday, where it begins at 2 p.m. Free tickets can be reserved on the Mitchell Hall website, but tonight attendance is first come, first served for UCO students and staff.
March's full moon is called the worm moon, and it's extra special because it will be a total lunar eclipse. The first in nearly 3 years to be visible across the U.S. This Friday, March 14th, the moon will have a striking red color. A total eclipse happens when the moon is full and aligns perfectly with the Earth and the Sun. Unlike a total solar eclipse, this celestial event doesn't require special eyewear.
Now, earlier we talked about a change in temperatures, and that kind of reminds me of the eclipse because of how cloudy it's been getting.
Right, let's toss it over to weather and see if we're going to have any clouds on Friday. Looking at our 7-day Friday, it is going to be super windy, but we really aren't expected to have much cloud. We do have a high wind advisory already issued by the National Weather Service. And Shanice, did you have any plans on Friday that are going to be ruined by that?
Honestly, I think I'm just going to work. That's pretty much it, so not too much going on.
Awesome.
Well, unfortunately, we've ran out of time today, so I'm Shanice Hopkins.
I'm Gwyneth Duncan.
Thanks for joining us.